Good afternoon, everybody. We are back to Big Ben Campus, and we are live Tuesday, January 10th, 2017. My name is Jeff. They call me the Big Man on Campus, joined as always by my co-host, Red Hot Ryan D'Amico. Ryan, how you doing today? You're giggly today. What's up with you? What's so funny? You're like laughing uncontrollably throughout that song. Why?
It's a kind of an inside thing. But yeah, no, I'm in a good mood. Red Hot Ryan reporting live. Yeah, we're doing pretty well here. 8 in a row, trying to make it 9 in a row, and
another winner last night.
Yeah, another winner. Job.
Yeah. You had a nice pick last night on
Troy outright.
Troy outright. Yeah, outright. Actually, Ron, I took them on the money line. I showed you.
Yep.
Great job. I went 0-2. I told you guys I didn't really like much last night. Honestly, there was not a lot that I really was into. So I went up 1-2. It is what it is, or 0-2. It is what it is. Yeah. Hopefully we bounce back tonight. I know you have a play you're looking at tonight. Yeah. I'll break down a couple. We'll break down most of the card here. No need to send in what you like. We will get most of the games here on the card. So got a lot of people here in the chat box. I'll try to shout them out, all of them. Guan White, Brohas, Pride Daddy, Brian, the boys, Chip Mac, Chris, Landon, Shoddy K, Tyler, Chip Mac, Mamadou's out there, Landon, everyone out there listening, I appreciate it. Everyone out there that's not in the chat box, welcome. I do appreciate you as well. If you want, all you got to do is jump on to the chat box and you can communicate with us. Glenn Olson, how you doing? Glenn looks like a new listener. Welcome. So, Ryan, we'll start with college basketball. We'll also get into a little bit from the college football championship last night. Clemson, the winner. And we also have buy or sell as well. So we'll get into your play of the day as well. First game, Ryan. Most of these games today I picked due to the fact of the fact that people want to hear opinions on them. So again, we'll do that. As far as tonight, let's jump into it, Ryan. Baylor +6 at West Virginia, over under 141. Interesting line here, Ryan. A lot of people have had talked about this one all day. Whether you like either side here, it's a very tough call to make. First of all, with the fact that Baylor is a 6-point road dog as the number one team in the country. You don't see that often.
Not at all.
You never see it, actually. What is that telling us here about the line? It's telling me that West Virginia is probably the play here. But then I look deeper into it, and I tell you, and I kind of small rat here a little bit. I don't really understand this line. I think, look, is West Virginia a very tough place to play? Yes. Will Baylor lose at some point? Yes. But it's hard as a sports bettor to go against Baylor here. I get, West Virginia's good with the press and everything, but you also look at the fact, Ryan, that when you review some of Baylor's wins this year, Louisville, Virginia Commonwealth, there's teams that run the press effectively. So
they've seen it multiple times.
Right. They've seen it more than probably most teams in the country have seen. You also look at the fact that Baylor, 5-0 on the road this year, 4-0 against the spread, and they're only giving up 58 points a game. They have a huge front court with John Motley and Akwi, I believe his name is. Can't ever pronounce it correctly. But Manu Comte, a very capable guard. Lester Freeman, Ryan, has to hit threes tonight. If he can hit threes, the whole thing with beating this press is, can we do what Texas Tech did and break the press and have those wide open threes? That's the big thing. Temple did it. Texas Tech did it. That's how you beat West Virginia. But can they break the press? That's the big question. It's hard for me because, again, number one team in the country, the better team, played a ton of really tough games this year. And look, a thing you have to point out, Ryan, West Virginia has inability to close games out with free throws. 65%. Most of their players only have 2 players to shoot above 70%, and their guards have issues shooting three free throws. I think rebounding, they're pretty equal as far as that's concerned. Listen, I mean, they're going to lose at some point. Could be tonight. You got to point out, though, Baylor, 52% over the last 5 games from the floor. I get the feeling this game's close, Ryan. I really do. I'm not in love with this game, but I'm going to grab the points here. I'm going to just do it. I got 7 earlier on our SBR video. It's at 6 now. I'll take a shot here with Baylor. Look, again, I'm aware of how to cap basketball games. I'm aware of what the line says, but I'm going to take a shot here with the Bears.
Yeah, look, I kind of like lean Baylor as well. Obviously, everyone wants to kind of just dissect this game and talk about it and break it down and try to get to the bottom of why the line is what it is. And West Virginia, their last game they played, which was a few days ago against TCU, I actually contemplated using that as a play of the day. I liked it. I liked them at home. I liked them coming off a loss against Texas Tech. And TCU, I didn't quite buy into. They kind of do this every year, start out nicely, and then as they get into conference play, they start to get exposed. So I thought about laying, I believe they were laying somewhere around 14, 15 points in that game was West Virginia. And at the half, they were up at like 9 or 11. I'm like, fuck, I should have took them. Then in the second half, they just, for whatever reason, just either took their foot off the gas or tried to put it on cruise control. I don't know, but they only end up winning that game by 12 points. I think you make a good point, Jeff, is the free throws. If this is a close game either way, and free throws tend to kind of give you that separation at the end to put it over the number, that doesn't bode well for West Virginia that they're going to be able to do that. Look, I'll go with Baylor. This team is kind of clicking on all cylinders right now, and there's nothing really to show me other than the line is weird to take West Virginia here. So I think it's imperative too that Baylor has seen the press, and I think that ultimately will be the X factor.
LeCompte is their best ball handler. He's never faced the press. All right. Well, again, I mean, I'm not sure what defense Louisville runs or VCU, but looks like a press to me. Again, I hear what you're saying, though. Have they faced the intense press like this?
Sure.
No, but
right.
Again, they've seen this sort of defense before.
Yep.
And, again, I mean, you can't really ever, this is probably the best press you're going to find, but look, Manuel Comp's a pretty capable guard, a guy that has probably seen. I don't think it's the first time he's ever faced a press in his life. Again, like you pointed out, a good point by you, Ryan. Look, other than the line here, this game looks pretty coin flippy.
Yeah.
And look, I can't back a team that just can't make free throws. I'm not interested. I'm sorry. That is one of the single-handed things they lost in that Texas Tech game. They could not make free throws, and it was in turn was their problem in that one. So you look at Baylor. How do you really justify their number one? I mean, they beat Oregon, Virginia Commonwealth, Michigan State, Louisville, Xavier, Oklahoma. Again, they're down, but then Iowa State. They're very. I mean,
they're battle tested.
Yeah, I mean, they've done everything they've needed to. And look, they're going to lose at some point. This is definitely a spot where they can lose. They've lost the last 2 games by double digits, Ryan. So again, I get it, but I'm going to grab the points here with the number 1 team in the country.
And this will be West Virginia's toughest task to date. I mean, I know they did play Virginia earlier in the year, but other than that Virginia game, I mean, pretty lackluster schedule that they've faced. And, I mean, I don't care. Either you buy into it or you don't. I'm kind of a person that buys into it. The fact that strength of schedule, I obviously pay attention to that and say, West Virginia hasn't been as battle tested as Baylor, and I think there's something to that.
Yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully it's a great game either way. Should be fun. Reading into that line, it's definitely interesting, but we'll see how it goes, Ryan. We both like the dog here at +6. Obviously, we got a better line a little bit earlier, but
yeah,
it is what it is. I still think it's a lot of points either way. Next one, Florida State hosting Duke. I'm sorry, Duke visiting Florida State. Number 9 against number 7 here. Both these teams, I think, are clearly top 10 worthy. Both have played well this year, particularly Florida State. Florida State's laying 1.5 over under 156.5. Starting out with Florida State, Seminoles hot. 10-4 against the spread this year. Have covered 8 of 10 at home. 87 points a game and have been really effective this year. You look at what they're doing here, 93 points a game at home. That's pretty unbelievable, really. They have been absolutely on fire offensively, 52%, giving up 70.5 points a game. Big news out of Duke land today, no Emil Jefferson, Ryan, and we've talked about it. I think he's the most important player on that team. His veteran leadership, his ability to rebound the basketball at a high level. He's one of the best rebounders you're going to find in the country. Averages a double-double and 2 blocks a game. And with a couple of 7-footers that Florida State possesses, it might be tough sledding down low for them. They're a feisty team. They go 12 deep, Ryan, Leonard Hamilton squad. They can always really give you a lot of depth as far as that's concerned. And they won 3 straight against ranked opponents. And the way to beat Duke, limit the 3-point shooting. Florida State, 31.5% they're allowing to opponents. Pretty impressive. Duke has obviously also shown that they are pathetic in the transition at times this year. You saw against Virginia Tech. I had Duke in that game. They could not do anything as far as transition defense was concerned. This is going to be a tough atmosphere. Tallahassee's going to be on fire. And Ryan, I think there's going to be a little bit of bad blood here. Remember, Rathan Mays was tripped last year by Grayson Allen in Duke. Right. Could be some unfinished business here for the Seminoles. I'm going to go with them here, I think, to get the job done. The loss of Emil Jefferson will be bigger than many think. He's a huge part of this team. I like Florida State here. I'm going to go with the money line, though, minus 130. I don't want to worry about the 1.5, 2 points here. I just want them to win. I'm going to go with them to win here.
Yeah, I would take Florida State. This is too much for Duke, in my opinion, to kind of overcome here. It's just one of those tough spots. And at the end of the day, it's only one game in a extremely long season. So a loss here isn't gonna do too much to Duke here. But you look, no Coach K tonight, like you said, no Emil Jefferson tonight, and I would agree with you. I think he is their most important player, especially in a matchup like this, like you said, which I was going to bring up about the 7-footers down low. That's a tall order there, and pair that with the atmosphere tonight. That place should be rocking. The kids, obviously. Look, Duke has kind of owned Florida State as of late, and I mean rightfully so. They're 24-7 straight up over the last 31. So I'm sure the Florida State kids want to get that bad taste out of their mouth, get a big win. And look, this isn't like the Florida State team that's been kind of up and coming over the last couple of years. I mean, this is a legit top 10 team now. This is a team that, look, they should feel confident. They should be able to get the job done. I mean, if you're not going to win, if you're not going to win tonight, I'm not sure when you're going to beat Duke, because this is set up beautifully for them tonight, and I'm going to back them here, and I would suggest other people back them as well. How well they play at home, and just kind of everything points in their direction. I'm not sure I can find a scenario that points me in the direction of Duke. I can't do it. Too many X factors.
Yeah, I wasn't particularly high what I saw from them on the road last time out. They've been up in the air at times on the road over the years, and I think, like you said, great spot for FSU in this one to seize the moment and get a win here.
Yep.
Ian Cameron, Ryan, a friend of the show, he does a video every day on SBR, and he went over this game and made a good point that the one issue I have here in this game and why I'm concerned is X and O wise, I'm not a big Leonard Hamilton fan.
Right.
I think as far as putting people in and things like that, he's decent. But as far as plays and things like that, I'm a little skeptical to ever buy into what he's selling. But again, Jeff Capel for Duke. It's not exactly Krzyzewski either. So I think it'd be a great game. It would probably come down to the wire. I just like Florida State at home in this one. I think they'll get the job done. But all depends on how Giles plays. Yeah, well, yeah. He's the number one recruit. He's clearly getting a lot of footing under his sneakers, and he's starting to play a lot more minutes, starting to be a bigger part. But again, I want to see a little bit more here. I think it'd be great from the perspective of Rathan Mays and Allen. Grayson Allen again possibly tripped somebody. Did you see all that, right,
yep.
Ryan?
No.
What is up with him at this? I mean, it's something in his head, I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like every night he's getting involved with this. But we'll see. Should be a great game nonetheless. I'll go Florida State on the money line. Ryan, you would agree with this?
I would agree, yeah.
All right, one other one. I'm going to go with this one, Ryan. It's a free play, guys. It's a West Coast game, and I think it's kind of just too many points for me here. I'm going to go with San Jose State plus 12 against San Diego State, Ryan. You obviously know, Ryan, I follow the Aztecs. I read an article this morning from Mark Ziegler from the Union Tribune. People are not happy right now with this San Diego State program. They kind of expect at this point to be one of the better teams in the Mountain West, and they are solely in last place right now. They're 0-3 to start out conference playing, and things are not good right now in San Diego. They're not playing well. Drake Kell cannot get it figured out. Jeremy Hemsley's been battling an injury. He may not play tonight. Malik Pope, they cannot get going. Matt Shrigley's had injuries. And they're not making shots. They're a jump shooting team that can't make jump shots, Ryan, and that's the problem. Right now, they're just struggling on all ends of the court. You also look at the fact that at home this year, Vias hasn't been the normal great home court advantage. They're a great crowd, but this team hasn't played well. 0-3 at home this year against the spread. And over the last 3 years, 15-18. This team has lost its luster. They have not been the same team since Xavier Thames left. They don't have a capable guy that you can give the ball at the end of the game and say win. Now you want me to lay 12 points in them against an upstart San Jose team who, look, has really played well. I mean, they've improved wholeheartedly. Last year they were a decent team. They've become a pretty tough out in the Mountain West so far. Ryan, you remember a couple years ago, I think they had 2 or 3 wins. Mm-hmm. They were just gutted as a program. All their players left. They've done a nice job to kind of withstand some of the issues they've had off the court. And right now, the concern I would have with this game and why it's not a member play for me, I was close to sending it out, but I'm concerned that this would be one of those get-right games for San Diego State. Maybe where they kind of get everything going, similar to the way UConn did the other night against UCF. I just, without Hemsley, I'm skeptical because Trey Kell has not been able to score the basketball. I love Pope. I wish I could see more of him. I think when he gets healthy, he'll be a lottery pick. I like what you think there, Jeremy, or Jeff Test. But for right now, I'm going to back the underdog here. I'm going to go with San Jose State, Ryan.
Yeah, look, I don't particularly like this game. I particularly don't get involved with Mountain West basketball. Just not really a conference that I'm into and have a big grasp on. But like you said, you're a San Diego State guy, so I've kind of in turn kind of followed along with them over the last handful of seasons. And I mean, basically, it just comes down to them not being able to score. I mean, they've always been a good defensive team, always, and they just can't score. I mean, they're for the last handful of years. I mean, that's really been their downfall. They hang their head on defense. That's great and all, but at some point, you need to get into the 70s. I mean, this team doesn't get into the 70s. They don't, and in a situation tonight where you're asking them to lay double digits, I have an issue with that. And that's kind of the reason I backed Troy last night was Georgia State, they can't score. And I didn't see them be able to get separation. And I felt like it'd be a close game. Similar kind of thing here. In a team that just cannot score. And it's interesting because they have a lot of dynamic players, people that have some guys that have been there for a while, and you expect to take the next step, and they just haven't been able to do it. So, like I said, I'm not as big on this one as Jeff is, but I would probably grab the points here.
I think this is a case of me of San Diego State is getting their reputation has kind of allowed them to be 12-point favorites in this spot. I don't think they're 12 points better than San Jose right now. Again, 3-4 years ago, this would be a good spot for San Jose. Yeah. But even back then, they had trouble covering double-digit numbers. Right. I mean, that's just what they do. They're grinded out. We want to win by 9 or 10 and get out of Dodge. And the possession's slow. They don't run up and down the court. This is going to be a half-court game. Possessions will be in the low 70s. I just think this is too many points. I'm going to go like a 72, 60 type of game. I think this will hang around, well, not 72-60, 72-63 or something, within 12, within 10. I think this would be hanging around that number. Look, it wouldn't surprise me right now with the way this Aztec team's playing for them to lose a game like this. They've lost to Grand Canyon. They've lost to teams that they really should beat. They do it every year. So for me, I'm just not interested in the Aztecs right now. But Hemsley being in there is important. If he doesn't play, I really like this play. But with him in there, obviously that had a little bit of facet. But, Steve Fisher has to defend his program all of a sudden, Ryan. He's starting to get. Do you wonder about Steve Fisher? Is it time to maybe move on a little bit? Maybe retire? He's done a nice job at San Diego State. He's built this program into a tournament team seemingly every year.
Yeah.
And he's a great coach. I think he's one of the top 5 best coaches in America. And it's not tough to recruit out there. I mean, you have a great school to go to.
Right.
But they've lost their luster in a bad conference. Is it time to maybe move to Brian Dutcher here with San Diego State?
I mean, I think maybe it's something to think about. I mean, really, Steve Fisher's not getting any younger, and great coach. He's done great things for that program. I mean, they've come a long way. If you kind of look back at where this program was before he got there, it was a laughing stock. I know we don't like to use that word a lot on the show, but that's what it was. And I don't know if I'd pull the trigger quite yet. Finish the year out. Let's see how the kids respond. Let's see how tough start to conference, but let's see. We're only 3 games into conference play. Let's give them.
And it's interesting, Ryan, because out in San Diego, they do not turn on teams like we do here. Like here, when they have a bad game or two,
right.
we're out for blood.
Yeah.
Out in San Diego, it takes a lot for them to get
Longer
pissed
leash,
off.
yeah.
They love him out there. He's like a god out in San Diego.
Well, he should be.
And the fact that I've read some of this stuff, again, I want to point out Mark Ziegler is a very he looks for confrontation with some of his articles. He's always kind of negative on San Diego State, but again, I do think you make a good point, Ryan. They were a laughingstock. He had to hand tickets out
right.
Before he kind of got things going. So, look, they're going to get it straight. I think in this game, I don't know. I just don't really see why they're laying 12 points here.
Until they show you that they
the
can
other
do
night,
it, you can't back.
They have a 10-point lead in the first half. They end up losing by double digits against Nevada. This conference has gone downhill. Back when they had BYU in it, New Mexico was really good, and you had some luster there.
Yeah.
Nowadays, this conference, not only in football but in basketball, is bad.
It's watered down.
Nevada's a very up in the air type of team. I'm not very high on Boise much anymore. They don't really worry you too much. New Mexico's been pathetic.
Yep.
I guess if you like offense, it's a good conference, but
yeah.
I don't see it.
Doesn't draw me in too much.
Yeah. Maybe they've been partying too much, as Mama do. Yeah, a lot of good parties out there.
Yeah. San Diego, tough place to.
Ryan, the 10s here are like
place.
3s out there.
I'm sure.
So, I could understand why you would. It's a great place to live, nonetheless.
Right.
But so I'll go San Jose State plus 12. I'll go Baylor plus 6, and I'll go with Florida State money line. Again, 2 of those plays, definitely tough. I mean, they could go either way, but this is for entertainment only. These plays. Ryan, though, the much anticipated play of the day. First of all, why don't you let us know your record?
Yeah.
Second of all,
8-2.
8-2, and
yeah.
for anyone that doesn't know, Ryan started out 0-2 with this segment.
Yep.
0-2, he's rattled off 8 in a row. He has been great. What do you like here?
Yeah, we're going to go to SEC country here. Take a look at Florida going into Alabama here. Florida currently at a 5.5-point favorite, lined open at 6. It's kind of dipped just a little bit. So we'll use 5.5 as the current line for everyone out there. Look, I know a lot of people are saying, Bama plays great at home. Bama's tough. Bama's playing good defense. I'm not taking the bait. I'm going to go with Florida here. I'm going to go with Florida going into Alabama and laying 5.5 here. That's, it never really. Bama never really stood out to me when I broke down this game for a few reasons. Defensively, obviously. Defensively for sure. You look at their defensive numbers. They're only giving up 59 points per game at home. I don't care who you are. That's impressive. The competition has something to do with that. If you kind of break down their schedule, if you look at it, which I'm not going to do right now, you can do that when you have the time if you want to. Florida, though, i.e., they're another good defensive team, and that's kind of what separates Florida and Bama here to me. Is Florida great defensively as well? It's not like they're a team that's giving up 75 to 80 points a game, so you have to worry about that. Not at all. This is a team that's only giving up 66 points per game. Likewise, on the road, it's only 66 points a game they're giving up. But offensively, they're so much better than Alabama. Alabama doesn't have one single player that averages double digits. They try to get things collectively from their starting 5 and a few bench players. Florida, though, they have a lot of talent offensively. Obviously, that goes without saying. They've kind of a team we've talked about on this show so far this year a couple times, Jeff, Florida. And Florida has actually covered their last 4 in Alabama here. Couple ATS things to throw at you guys quickly. I know some of you guys like that. Alabama, 2-8 ATS in their last 10 following a win, which obviously they are. 2-7 in their last 9 in conference.
Ryan, what are your thoughts on Alabama? The mood in that stadium tonight after the loss last night. Well, I think that's kind of a downer
that has
too.
something to do with it. There's a lot of X factors with Bama. The last ATS thing I'll throw out: Florida 7-2 in their last 9 conference games. ATS
also covered 8 of 10 as a favorite,
and
Ryan.
they've covered 8 of 10 as a favorite. Exactly, they've been very good as a favorite. Yeah, I mean there's the layover or hangover from last night with the college football championship game. There was also a hostage situation on the campus of Alabama today. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe that'll be some sort of distraction.
If I read that right, it was at a credit union. Is that correct?
I didn't hear where it was.
Was it a gambler? Are we aware? Did he not pay his bookie?
Is it Jeremy Denson?
No,
just
come on,
kidding,
don't
Jeremy.
say that.
I'm just kidding.
No, that's an interesting point, Ryan. Honestly, I think this is a good play. You know, I was skeptical to kind of buy into it just because. Listen, I think Alabama long term, I think Avery Johnson's building something there. I think they're going to be a really good team in the next year or two. They've gotten some really good recruits lately.
Avery Johnson's doing a great job.
Yeah. And they got Colin Sexton, who, that's a great recruit if you're him. He's a top 20 player.
They actually got 2 big pools this year.
Yeah, that's huge for them in the SEC to kind of debate against Florida and Kentucky. But, yeah, Ron, I like the play. Shannon Hale I like from Alabama, but I'm just not too high on them. I'm really not. And I think at the end of the day, I think Florida would just kind of wear them down. They have some really capable scorers. Florida, I think they're one of the better teams in the SEC, other than Kentucky. Be interested to see how they play this year when they face each other. I like this play, Ryan. I think it's a good one. I'm high on it.
Yeah,
I like it. You want to give a score? Do you want to go 78-68?
I'm not going to give a score. I just think they cover.
All right.
I just don't think Bama can keep up.
So you're laying 5 or 5.5?
5.5. Yeah.
Very good.
I still think they'll be able to score.
By the way, 1 senior for Alabama this year.
Yeah.
So they're going to be good.
Interesting note. Yeah.
They're going to be good coming up here. Let's go through the rest of the card, Ryan, here, and we'll skip several, but we'll try to give an opinion on everything here. Again, picks are for entertainment only. No one's holding a gun to your head. Though right now, you should be probably betting Ryan's free plays. They're doing well. Ryan, let's jump into it here. Delaware State leading North Carolina Central, Ryan, in a MEAC showdown, matinee MEAC showdown. But let's jump into it. Xavier Villanova. Villanova laying 8 over under 145. Xavier getting Miles Davis back. Big grab for Chris Mack and crew. Miles Davis was a guy who beat his girlfriend, I believe, but he's back. I'm not sure how much he'll play tonight due to just coming back, but Villanova, off the loss to Butler, did get a win over Marquette this weekend. I'm not very high on Xavier personally, but I feel like Villanova does enough here to win by double digits for some reason.
And Villanova has owned this series, Jeff. I mean, they've covered 6 of 8. They've covered, I believe, their last 4 out of 5, something like that, and they've kind of all been blowouts too. If you look at the numbers, 95-64, 69-52, 78-66. So all by double digits and a wide margin. I like Nova here. I thought about using Nova actually as a play of the day tonight, but
wow.
Yeah, I like Nova. They seem to have Xavier's number, and like you said, we've both said on this program, Jeff, that we're not as high on Xavier as maybe in years previous.
Villanova has to get it figured out with the supporting cast. Josh Hart's not going to be able to win you a championship. Just him. They have to get more from Chris Jenkins. Have to get Jalen Brunson's come on lately, but they have to get more with them. Auburn, Missouri, Ryan. Purefoy probably not going to play tonight for Auburn. Best player.
Yeah, he's out.
That's tough. This is a tough game on the road here. Yes, Pride Daddy. We'll go over everything. I made that clear. We'll get to it. Auburn, Missouri. Missouri playing better, but I don't have much opinion on this game.
I don't likewise. Auburn. I usually like Auburn at home recently, but Yeah.
This looks like fishy.
It is fishy. There's a few of them out there tonight.
And with no Purifoy, I mean that's a big loss for Auburn, who is young and they don't take a lot of problems. I feel like aren't going to help them. Kentucky Vandy, I'm not interested in really getting in the way of Kentucky right now. They played really well.
Yeah.
Some of their games lately, they've looked kind of maybe like want to take the dog, grab the points. No one cares, man. Go away. Does anyone believe he won $180,000 on Clemson? Do you believe that at all?
Why would I?
Right. So, are you interested here in Kentucky at all?
I would have a slight lean to Kentucky, actually. I know maybe some people like Vandy in this spot, but Kentucky, like you kind of worded it perfectly. I'm not interested in getting in the way of it.
Yeah, I mean, they look tempting to some to take the underdogs with them.
Yeah.
But they keep it close in the first half and just pound teams in the second half. George Mason, St. Joe's. I think George Mason's a little intriguing tonight. St. Joe's, obviously, without Shavar Newkirk, have had good work from James Demery lately. He dropped, I think, 28 the other night. But this team, without Shavar Newkirk, it's going to be an uphill battle for Phil Martelli's crew. They still have Lamar Kimball and others, but George Mason hot. And Marquise Moore's played well, the senior guard out of Queens. Going on the road here, getting 4. I feel like this one, is close nonetheless, I would feel like. But Mason, look, at the end of the day, they're 11-5, and I think 10 of those wins are against poor opponents. So I don't know. Intriguing though, with always kind of fading St. Joe's without Shavar Newkirk.
Yeah, Mason's been good on the road too, 5-2 straight up and ATS. So they've been getting the job done, and kind of like you said, without Newkirk, it's been a kind of a struggle to score. Only about 70 points per game for Phil Martelli's crew in the last 5. So in the better offensive team, I'll take George Mason plus getting points. So
yeah, I could see him winning this one.
Absolutely.
Plus 160 maybe.
Absolutely.
Miami of Ohio, Ball State, not interested. I will point out Ball State has been a colossal disappointment for me this year. I thought they'd be a lot better than they are. Ohio, Buffalo. Ohio Run looks to be getting it settled here. They're not a great road team, though. I'd be interested to see how they play on the road. This game looks really easy, but I get the feeling Buffalo's a little tougher than many think. Akron, Central Michigan. They probably scored 300 in that game. Both those teams love to score. Toledo, Western Michigan. Someone's asking about that one. I'll be interested, Ryan, to see what you think on that one. Toledo, Western Michigan. Western Michigan sucks. Okay, they're not very good. They're not very good defensively. But Toledo, for whatever reason, has just kind of been. I don't know. They're not very good defensively. They just kind of seem to always lose the games that they should win, and they've been great on the road from what I've seen. Western Michigan is a gutsy team. They played valiantly this year.
Yeah, and Toledo. I mean, this team can't stop a nosebleed, and really, I mean, God, they're giving up 86 points per game away from home. And I know it's a Western Michigan team that doesn't light it up offensively, but you'd have to think Western will at least be able to score. Be able to put out some points in this one. I really have zero interest in the game.
It's UCLA about
kind of
intriguing.
Michigan. It's kind of intriguing, but
this looks trappy to me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Both teams have been good ATS lately, so it's kind of a stay away for me.
Sure. A couple others here. Duke, Florida State, we talked about. Northern Kentucky, Ryan, we've talked about them getting some points here on the road, playing a Green Bay team who I backed the other night and didn't look particularly good at all against Milwaukee. I'm high on this North Kentucky team. They've played well. Like you said, starting to believe a little bit, playing some good basketball. I feel like another live dog here tonight, plus 160. Northern Kentucky starting to kind of play some decent basketball.
Yeah,
and good against the spread.
Northern
too.
Kentucky, they have been good against the spread. Defensively, they need to show up tonight because Green Bay obviously can score the basketball. Northern Kentucky lately has been giving up about 77 points per game in their last 5, so that's a little worrisome to me. But they've been good ATS, so this is one I looked at and I didn't really have too much of a read on. But you like Northern Kentucky, and you seem to have been trending upward with them this year. So kind of go with you on that one.
Yeah, Southeast Missouri, Tennessee Tech. Don't put money on bad teams. That's not a game you should probably get your money on. Tennessee Tech struggled this year. Southeast Missouri, they've struggled as well. I have no opinion, Mandy, on that game. Indiana, Maryland. This is an interesting game here, Ryan. Maryland, a 2-point underdog at home. Always tough to play at College Park. They're kind of just rolling right under the microscope, Ryan, Maryland. 14-2. You still have Mello Trimble there. And look, we've seen Indiana. Not a ton as far as road games are concerned. They've only played one true road game, Ryan. Are you concerned about that at all?
Kind of.
Especially against a team that's won 9 of 11 at home.
This strikes me as a get-right game tonight.
Okay.
For Indiana. It's just kind of a hunch. I think, like you said, Maryland's kind of flying under the radar. People starting to take notice, saying, "Man, this team's playing well. They're 14-2. They're 9-2 at home. You know, they've been on a roll. They went to Ann Arbor as a 8-point dog and win outright. And Indiana, they're struggling. I don't know. I think Indiana gets the job done tonight. I lean Hoosiers in this one.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned here, I don't have much opinion on it. Listen, Trimble's great. I like, what you get out of DeMonte Dodd and Nickens off the bench. And, they have capable guys. I'm interested to know if Chibowski will play in this game. The big kid, I believe he's Ukrainian or something. He's questionable. I think that's pretty big in this game, maybe to grab against Thomas Bryant. Listen, I'm just not interested in Indiana as a whole, really. I don't think they're that good. I think defensively they really struggle, and I think the guard plays weak, personally. But, again, tough atmosphere. This would be a great game, really a coin flip to me. But, again, Maryland, it's always tough to go into College Park. So, gun to my head, I'm taking Maryland. But, again, you guys some of you guys have had good reads on Indiana. Maybe you want to go with those. I want to just discuss one thing, Ryan. Chip Mack, you've been a pretty confrontational with a lot of people here. I'm kind of getting a little sick of it, to be honest. This is the second time you just attacked someone for no reason. Well, he just kind of attacked people for no reason.
Okay.
He just kind of does stuff like that. It's like little things. It's kind of you're just attacking people for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, Chip, you got to stop with that. You did it with Asher Musa the other day. It's kind of getting tired, to be honest. What Ryan? Anything else that you're looking at here?
I think one interesting one. I know we have a couple Big East guys out there, so they'll like to talk here. Providence going into DePaul, laying 5. From the surface, that's kind of intriguing. DePaul has played well at home this year. They are 7-3 ATS, 7-3 straight up at home. Haven't been particularly good ATS this year, though, only 4-11. But you look at Providence; they've really struggled on the road. They've lost 5 of 6. They've really kind of struggled ATS lately. Call me crazy, but I kind of like DePaul in that game slightly. But that's just kind of one that kind of I thought was kind of intriguing, Jeff. As far as any other ones we didn't touch on, Kansas, Oklahoma is an interesting one. If this game was last year, obviously the whole world would be watching it, and we'd be really kind of diving into it. Really kind of lacks the mustard this year.
I get the feeling Woodard plays in this game. I've heard he's possibly going to play here. Another game, Kansas, maybe they get right. Mm-hmm. As far as Providence is concerned, Cartwright injured in his last game. I don't know if he'll play tonight. We've talked about DePaul. They just have issues. Yeah. I'm never really interested in them. That's in DePaul, though, I believe.
It is. Yep.
As far as I'm concerned, though, both those games are tough. Kansas State and Texas Tech. Yeah, Kansas State's played well. They've played really good basketball lately. But so is Texas Tech. I'll give them their due a little bit. I still don't think they're very good. What's the line in that game, Ryan?
Texas Tech and
I think it's 5.
Give me 1 second here. I'm so bad at finding the games on here. It's really pathetic.
It's towards the bottom, right?
$4.5.
Yeah, Texas Tech the favorite here. This looks like a close one as well, but we've talked about it. When you're at home in the Big 12, you get the calls being at home in the Big 12. Texas Tech, a good offensive team, playing pretty good defense. Tough game here. No real opinion on it for me. Maryland's offense runs through Trimble. I'm not big on the particulars of the actual game. Good luck, man. We'll be rooting for you. I just don't have much on that Maryland Indiana game. Maryland's overrated. Perfect buy low spot for Indiana. I think they get rolling. A lot of people said they were struggling, but against Baylor and Whiskey, those losses were down to the wire. Yeah, but at the end of the day, they didn't win. They also lost to Fort Wayne. And there was another game they lost recently, Ryan. It was pretty pathetic. I'm trying to remember which one it was. I forget offhand. But, we'll see. We'll see how they play tonight on the road.
Yep.
They need a good road outing. They haven't had many of those. So you're going to go play of the day, Florida minus 5.5.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Baylor plus 6, Florida State money line, and San Jose plus the 12. Ryan, last night, college football playoff. I really don't care enough to bet Maryland, dude. But college football playoff last night, Clemson gets the job done, right?
Yep.
Winning it outright. How about that? First of all, last play of the game. Was that not a pick play? I mean, does that not get called all the time?
I'll tell you why it's not a pick play.
Okay.
And it's all serious. I mean, this is the Bama defender makes a colossal mistake. He actually grabs the receiver and pulls him to the ground.
Okay.
If he lets that receiver kind of initiate contact there and set the pick, which is clearly what he was trying to do, then perhaps that play gets called. Not sure if it's going to get called because they ran a similar play earlier in the game. They got Mike Williams free and got him a touchdown. But if that DB doesn't initiate contact and pull him to the ground, it makes things a little more interesting for the official to have to decide, do I call this or do I not call it? So I think the Bama defender kind of screwed them there.
Yeah, they were bad in the pass defense. We talked about it. I thought they were able to be thrown on. It was clear. Did I think they would score 35 points? No. I think it was obvious also that Nick Saban really didn't know what to do with Jalen Hurts. I mean, he couldn't make a throw downfield. I mean, He really couldn't. Other than that play to O.J. Howard, which was wide open, he was putrid.
And I think that, Jeff, in turn, really kind of limited Bama defensively and really hurt them defensively. I mean, say what you want about Bama. Look, defense, fantastic. They are. They're a good defense. But any defense that's on the field for almost 100 plays, I mean, they're going to get tired. And, I mean, it was really evident in that fourth quarter that they were tired. And,
right.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're human. They get tired. They're not machines. So Jalen Hurts and that offense not being able to sustain drives, not being able to convert third downs, in turn, made things more difficult on the defense, and that's why they lost the game.
Bo Scarborough went out also early as well. That hurt.
Well, he went out late. He wasn't in there in the fourth quarter.
Sure.
If he's there in the fourth quarter, I think they win.
Agreed. And look, I mean, exactly. When he went away and he kind of went out, they couldn't. Their offense didn't look the same. What happened to Calvin Ridley? Where did he go all of a sudden?
He doesn't have anyone to give him the ball.
He was just lost, really. I mean, both those receivers weren't really involved at all. I thought,
you can't really blame the receiver.
No, I don't. No, you're right. And
don't
again,
give him the ball.
Right, but what happened to Hurts? I mean, he was pretty good all year. I mean, he just automatic. I think at the end of the day, Nick Saban getting rid of Lane Kiffin like they did, I think
you see a little bit of the SEC being watered down this year.
Right.
Jalen Hurts was the SEC Offensive Player of the Year, mainly for what he did on the ground. And I think he did it against if this was 3-4 years ago, I don't think Jalen Hurts has the success that he had this year. I think the SEC was watered down, and when he played a legit team in Clemson who is been fantastic and really turned it up the last few games defensively, particularly after Pittsburgh. Look, you see kind of what happens to Jalen Hurts.
Do you think Clemson's better than Alabama?
As a whole, yeah.
Okay.
As a whole, probably. I mean, if you're looking at every aspect of the team,
right?
I mean, they're right there neck and neck defensively. What the most important position is in football is quarterback, and clearly Clemson has the better quarterback.
I'd like to see. It's a shame Eddie Jackson didn't play, and I think it could have been maybe different in the back end if they were able to play. And defensively, they just weren't good enough. I mean, really. I mean, they had their chance. Jalen Hurts goes in, scores a touchdown. There's 2 minutes left.
Yep.
They need a touchdown, basically, a field goal, basically, to win. But they just can't get stops at the end. I mean,
and you have to credit Clemson. I mean, those two catches, the one by Mike Williams that he goes up over the defender and gets, and then the catch by Leggett down at the goal line to redeem himself after the earlier drop, were two fantastic catches. I mean, and they made plays, and that's what it comes down to.
Barring Deshaun Watson coming back, which is pretty much slim to none, they are not going to be very good next year, I don't think. We can probably agree on that.
They won't, I mean, they're not going to be terrible, but they're like we said yesterday, they won't compete for a playoff.
When they lost to Pittsburgh, did you ever see this? Did you see this? I was a little down on Clemson all year. I thought even in the bowl game in the Big Ten or not Big Ten ACC championship, I remember we were skeptical about them, how good they were. They've had a ton of close calls, and one broke through, and several also. NC State almost beat them. Troy almost beat them. It was interesting, but I'll let you comment. Go ahead, Ryan.
Go ahead.
No, I wanted to get into something else on that.
I was going to say no. I wouldn't have. I didn't see it. The only time I saw it possibly coming was New Year's Eve. After the way they kind of manhandled Ohio State, it kind of said, "All right, if this team's clicking on all cylinders, they can beat anyone." But tip your hat to Clemson.
Sure. Yeah. No, I do tip my hat to them. They played fantastic with really no semblance of a run game either. They didn't have much at all on the ground. It was just strictly air it out. I think that's what we said yesterday. You could throw in this defense if you can kind of space them out a little bit and make it one-on-one. Some of their defensive backs were lost. 26, Red, I think his name is. He was lost all night. But just bigger players, bigger. Mike Williams is a man. Ryan, I wanted to just talk about one other thing. Dabo Sweeney. I've never been a big fan of his. He kind of is annoying to me a little bit and whatever. But I saw a story on him that I never knew, and I don't know that many knew this. I feel like it was just kind of like a personal story.
I think I might know what you're going to say here.
About what?
About his mom?
No. Actually, yeah. I mean, he had a troubled childhood. His dad was an alcoholic. He kind of went through fits where he would kick them out of the house, and they would live in the car.
And his mom lives with him in college.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right. And I heard a story about him today that I've found astounding. I guess when he was in Alabama, his first year, he had to pay for his tuition up front, like the half of the year or whatever. And they told him if he didn't pay it, his schedule would get canceled and he couldn't go.
Right.
He had no money. None. His tax returns weren't coming for another month. He had no idea what he was going to do. He goes home, obviously dismayed, didn't know what he was going to do. He sees and this is a true story, he sees a Discover card on his mailbox. Looks at it and says, there's 2 checks, basically. And he didn't know what they were, so he calls Discover and says, I don't have a Discover card. What are these all about? He goes, well, basically, sir, they're checks that you can write out for whatever you need them for. And he goes, well, what was my credit limit? She goes, $1,000. Pays his tuition off, pays his rent, and he said that was things that I had to do to get where I am now. And I didn't know that about him.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's kind of a cool thing to see. My father, my dad. My dad had a tough childhood growing up. He's kind of asserted himself and become something, and I relate a lot to that because my dad told me a lot of the same stories, and I respect Dabo Sweeney a lot for that. You kind of reached his high point,
right?
And I never knew that, so I think that's awesome that he was able to do something like that, and he can kind of be a genuine person,
Yeah, very cool, very very cool, and yeah, we get on Dabo from time to time for being a cornball and all that kind of stuff, which, I mean, he is. And I think at the end of the day, I think he probably would tell you that. But that's just who he is. And, I'm not going to knock someone for being real. And, credit him for, I mean, that meant a lot to him last night. He was obviously very emotional and, got to the top of the mountain. And props to them. And it'll be interesting going forward.
One thing about Deshaun Watson I find interesting, I've never seen his, family. Does he have family? That?
He does.
I've never seen them around him.
Interesting story that came out last night.
He always seems kind of alone.
Interesting story about Deshaun Watson that came out last night. You remember Warwick Dunn, right?
Sure.
The running back for Tampa Bay.
Sure.
Went to Florida State as a running back.
Right.
He actually bought Deshaun Watson's family their house.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I didn't read a backstory on it, why or what happened, if they're family friends or what. But there was a picture circulating last night of a young Deshaun Watson with his parents and siblings standing next to Warwick Dunn in front of their house. Really cool.
I never knew that. That's pretty interesting. Hopefully he goes and does some good things. He seems like a good kid.
Mm-hmm. Really
looks
really
like
good.
he'll be the number 1 pick, I think.
He'll be up there, I think.
You know?
I think he'll definitely be up there.
Trubisky or him? Who do you take? You have to pick the quarterback.
If I had to take one, I don't like Trubisky, so I'll kind of go against what I normally do, and I'll take Watson. But I don't think neither one of them is going to be too particularly good of a pro quarterback. But.
What do you think about this crazy story with Derrick Rose? Whatever. I mean, I'm sick of the antics in the NBA anymore. Personally, I think it's an immature meme move. It's pathetic, and I think it's.
If you wonder why the Knicks are bad,
right. That case in point.
There's case in point.
Right. Not only do you not even call and say what you're going, you just don't show up. Pathetic,
no show.
Pathetic move by Derrick Rose. They continue to put up with that, and I think you're right, Ryan. That's why they're in the situation they are. Work done since he was a pro at Tampa Bay has always used his personal money to buy families, homes all over. I didn't know that. Good for Warrick Dunn. Warrick Dunn always seemed like a good guy.
Really did.
And it's good to see some of these guys doing something with their money as opposed to throwing it away on bling and all that other shit. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's up with Derrick Rose. I guess he's back and everything's forgiven tomorrow. So whatever. But that's why they're the Knicks. Ryan, what do you have for us here?
Yeah, we have a couple buy or sell questions.
Buy or sell. That means that's where we buy or.
I give a
sell
statement
topics.
and you guys either buy or sell it. Yep. So we'll run through these and that'll be it. So first one, buy or sell. I heard this term being discussed last night and early this morning, and I actually think it warrants a discussion because I think some people will be surprised at what I say. Number one, Nick Saban is overrated as a head coach.
Look, that's tough. I buy that a little bit. I do. It's easy to be the best when you get the best players every year.
Exactly.
I mean, it's easy to constantly win Gino Auriemma when you get the best recruits and no one else is that good.
Exactly.
I buy that, and
I would buy it.
I think if you put Nick Saban on Iowa, I don't think he's going to win anything.
I'd buy it. I'd buy that 7 days a week.
Ryan was just waiting for that question.
I'd buy it.
He was waiting for that.
7 days a week. And this is not me taking anything away from Nick Saban. He's a good coach.
Right.
He's a good college coach because that's what he is. He's a college coach. He's a great college coach. He won at LSU, so he's proven that he can win other places besides Alabama. But that's the thing. I mean, when you constantly have by and far the best recruiting class every year, I mean that I don't care what you say, man. That goes a long way, dude. That goes a long, long way. Look, he did win at LSU. I hear you, and that's a fair point. But his teams are just ridiculously talented. I mean, ridiculously talented. And Constantine has a very good staff around him. So, look, this isn't me trying to take anything away from Nick Saban, but I do. I think he's a little overrated.
I think a great coach would have figured out how to win that game last night. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's funny. Nick Saban, if you actually do your kind of research recruiting-wise, Nick Saban, he recruits to a degree, but not like some of these other head coaches. Most of his staff are the people out there recruiting.
Right.
The big guys, the players in the top 50, those are the guys that he goes sees.
Right.
If you're a 4-star guy from Montana,
right.
I mean,
and that's why
Sarkisian's coming out to see it, not Nick Saban.
And again, that's why it's easy to go and it's like Kentucky. They already have the reputation. They have all that goes with it, the glitz and the glam, the past.
Yep.
But let me ask you a question.
Winning cures everything.
Okay. Other than Anthony Davis, in the last 5 years, have they had a downright nasty NBA player?
No.
So it's like a lot of these guys that you're putting into the league, I'm not sure they're ready to go to the league.
Yep.
Nick Saban, look, like you said, it's easy to do it when you get the best recruits. As far as who's the best coach, I don't know. He's still the best coach.
Agreed. He's
I don't
the
know
best
that,
coach.
Right.
But I don't
John
know.
Wall's not a fantastic NBA player.
I think you make a good point, Jeff. How much success would Nick Saban have at a place like Iowa?
Right.
At a school like that where, coaching matters.
Sure.
I mean, not to say coaching doesn't matter at Alabama, but, I mean, at the end of the day,
Okay, clearly no one understood that question. I don't mean decent bench players in
Right.
the NBA. I mean, like, colossal stars in the league.
And he said 5 years. John Wall's been in the league
Yeah,
for
and DeMarcus Cousins,
quite a time.
I'll give it to you, but that was
Weren't those like
that was
like
over
7,
5
8 years ago?
Right.
Yeah.
John Wall, I don't want on my team. I could care less about John Wall. I don't think he's going to win me an NBA championship. I'd like to see Nick Saban on. I mean, look at him at the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean,
But again,
clearly-
that's the NFL.
right. It's a different thing, right? Yeah.
But Ryan, I get a feeling you were waiting for that question. How long have you been waiting to put that question out?
No, well,
5 years now?
No, just this morning. I saw some people talking about it on Twitter, and I thought it was
Nick Saban needs to.
I thought it was interesting.
It's interesting every year. Nick Saban needs to address at what point will Nick Saban get a high level quarterback to come to Alabama and play well for him?
Doesn't need one,
Never gets one.
and he doesn't need one.
Think if he would have one this
They,
year.
they seemingly win every year.
I'd like to see how good he would be though with a quarterback like
I know.
It's
It's not without effort. It's not without effort. I mean, Hurts was a big time recruit.
Sure.
He gets big time recruits. I'm not coaching. It gets back to coaching. You're not
Right.
developing these
Right.
kids, I guess.
Sure.
So, but whatever. Yeah, I thought that'd be an interesting topic.
Very interesting.
Number 2, both number 1 seeds will reach the Super Bowl. So both the Cowboys and Patriots will reach the Super Bowl.
I sell. I think New
Care to
England.
tell me what team you're selling on?
Yeah, the Cowboys.
Okay.
I think they're going to lose this week.
This week?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. I think Aaron Rodgers is playing unbelievably right now. And it's funny because they really haven't had a whole lot from their skill players. I mean, Jordy Nelson's been injured. He may not play this week. They just kind of have, they've had some issues at times, kind of with their skill players. But again, I like what Green Bay does. I think Dallas at some point will get shredded defensively.
And it could be this week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be.
They dodge a bullet with no Jordy Nelson because he ain't going to play. I mean, he has 2 broken ribs.
Yeah.
He ain't playing. So
Yeah.
that's obviously a
Well,
little
they
bit of a letdown.
they
there.
say supposedly he's possible to play if he practices Saturday. He's going to collapse lung, which I don't know how you play with that because Dallas will be gunning for that.
Yep.
New England, no, I think New England's the best team in the NFL. I think they're going to pound the Texans this week, and I don't know. Atlanta looks intriguing.
I sell it because I think I'm on board with the Cowboys. Look, I think if they get past this week, I think they lose next week to either Seattle or Atlanta. I think it's going to be Atlanta. I think Atlanta gets to the Super Bowl because I think Atlanta's I think they're a terrible matchup for Dallas. To be honest with you, I think Matt Ryan could go into Dallas and put up 40 points on that defense.
Sure.
And not even blink. So. Look, Dallas is moving upward. They are, but to have to kind of ride 2 rookies at the end of the day, they are rookies to try and ride them to a Super Bowl. I think it's a tall task. So
I hope they do. I hate the Cowboys.
I hope they lose this week. I do.
We all hate the Cowboys.
Right.
So. We had the Giants lose last week, so hopefully we can make it
Right.
2 in a row. I don't know what he's talking about, but let's go to the next question, Ryan.
Next one. NBA question.
A lot of people talking that someone saying Shoddy K, New England's going to lose, Chiefs are going to beat them, Pats, Packers, Atlanta, Pats. I don't think anyone's really falling in love with the Cowboys here.
Not really.
No one, really.
Yeah.
Does anyone think the Cowboys will win the Super Bowl? Other than Cowboy fans? Why don't we just put Mamadou at safety? He's not very fast. I don't know if that will work. What's your NBA question?
NBA question. The Houston Rockets, can challenge the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference. Because right now, in the Western Conference, it's Golden State, Spurs, Rockets, and then everyone else. And it's not even close. Those 3 are the top 3 teams. So obviously we know what the Spurs have. I mean, the Spurs with their head coach, with Pop, they're seemingly there every year. Rockets, I think, are an X factor, though.
I'll tell you what. That's a great question, Ryan. I think Golden State needs to wake up. Because defensively, they've had some problems lately, and they've had problems all year. I don't think they have very good bigs, personally. I don't know. The Rockets seem to always kind of win and do this for a while. I don't know. I'm not very high on the Rockets just because I know that the three-point shooting I feel like is going to cease at some point. I think the only team that will challenge Golden State is Cleveland. That's what I think. I don't think there's any team in the West that's on the level of Golden State. I will sell that. I don't think Houston is. I mean, it's not even the All-Star break yet. But it's cool.
It's
Houston.
not. Yeah.
I like James Harden. Sure. I like kind of what Patrick Beverly does defensively and guys like that. But look, Golden State's only going to get stronger. Yeah, I'm not too high on Houston.
I think they can challenge them. Golden State obviously they're giving up about 107 points per game. Don't play the most defense in the league, and that's obviously would leave the door open for a team in Houston that that's what they want to do. They kind of want to outscore you. But I just thought it was interesting. Just kind of throw an NBA question in there because we don't talk a ton of NBA on here, just because neither of us are particularly in love with the product. But last one here, Baylor, and it's interesting because of the matchup tonight. Baylor will spend more than 2 weeks at number 1.
That's a great question. I would sell that. I think if they don't lose tonight, I think they may lose next game against K-State in Manhattan. That's a tough stretch, both those games, both on the road. I think it's short-lived at number 1 for Baylor.
Okay.
I think Baylor's good. I really do. I love what I've seen from them this year. They've had a great schedule, and I don't think you can doubt what they've done. They're undefeated. They've beaten really good teams in front of them. I don't knock or hate where they are. Do I think they're the most talented team in the country? No, I don't. But I think right now they are, as far as win-loss, and that's what the rankings consist of.
Right.
I would sell that. I think they'll lose one of the next 2 games. I could see them losing both games, really.
Mm-hmm.
If they win both these, then you got something to think
that's
about.
eye-opening.
Because I think Kansas. I mean, they're kind of doing what they normally do, but they've had some close calls lately. That's a tough conference, but I think I would sell that.
I would sell it too. It's a pretty cut and dry question, but I was just interested to see if anyone really kind of buying into Baylor. So
yeah,
and the answer is no.
I wouldn't say I don't buy into them. I do get it. I like Baylor as a squad. I think they do a lot of great things. I think they're well coached. But we've talked about, they do this seemingly every year, and they seemingly are the same team. So we'll see. It should be a great game tonight against Press Virginia, as they call it. Hail, West Virginia.
Yeah.
Forgive me for being late. Can you suggest your plays before the end of the show? No problem, Jeff from Florida. It's a great name. San Jose State plus 12, Baylor plus 6, and Florida State money line. What do you like, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm on Florida minus 5.5.
You're on Jeff from Florida.
So Jeff from Florida, I'm on your Gators,
and I'm on your Seminoles.
So.
A lot of Florida teams tonight.
A lot of Florida.
Anything else tonight, Ryan, that you want to talk about?
I don't think so. Okay. Last night was only about the college football playoff, the championship.
Right.
So yeah.
Did you like the game? Do you think it was a good game?
Yeah, it was a great game.
You hit your future.
I did,
job.
which was nice. That's always.
I think it was like 6.5.
I only had 3. With futures, I don't like to put in like an overabundance of them. I think I had 3. I think I had Michigan, Clemson, which hit, and then I put in LSU.
Yeah,
as kind of a longer shot.
And you didn't hedge either. You were standing.
I didn't.
I even told you. I said you might want to hedge maybe in the third quarter. You're like, nah, you're not. I'm definitely just gonna roll with it.
Yeah.
Best ever? No. Texas USC was the best I can remember.
That Texas USC.
Yeah, that was a pretty great game.
It was awesome.
I don't even think it was the best game in the bowl season. It was good, but I don't know if it was. Yeah, as far as the best national championship game ever, no, I don't. I think Texas USC was better. What was it, 2007?
I think Texas USC. I think it was like 2006. Yeah, I think that has a slight lead over it. But
yeah, but as far as this year bowl was, I think the best game was what was that Penn State USC game? Probably.
Yeah, I heard an interesting stat this afternoon. Every team that got invited to a bowl game, that participated in a bowl game, scored a point in that bowl game.
Okay.
Except for one team. You know who it was?
Ohio State.
Yeah. The Buckeyes.
Fuck the Buckeyes.
Just kidding. Breaking balls, Trey. Don't need to.
No, you don't have to apologize. Fuck the Buckeyes.
It's.
We don't like them here. Fuck Urban Meyer. Go eat your fucking Domino's pizza and shut the fuck up.
That is a classic picture.
Fucking punk bitch. Piece of
but yeah,
shit.
I mean, that kind of. It's funny. This morning I was looking at way too early rankings for next year.
Okay. Wow.
USA.
You're one of those people.
No, it was just, it came across my timeline on Twitter, and it was from USA Today. And just real quickly, if I can remember off the top of my head, Florida State 1, Bama 2, I believe Ohio State 3, Michigan 4, and USC rounded out the top 5, which is interesting because Florida State and Bama actually play each other week 1 next year. That's going to be fantastic.
How about that?
That's going to be fantastic.
By the way, if you eat Domino's, Pizza Hut, Papa John's, any of those places, I don't want to talk to you ever. I'm not interested in knowing you. I'm just not.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to know you. I don't think we are on the same level humanically.
Look, I don't like Pizza Hut. I don't like Papa John's particularly. I do like Domino's from time to time, but that's the only, like, I call it fast food pizza that I'll eat.
Yeah.
But, I'd much rather
unless you live in, like...
I mean, right.
Unless you live in, like,
yes,
that's the
only
wanes of
thing.
existence,
Yeah,
like,
the
where
only,
there's nothing else.
There's no, like, legit pizza. Yeah.
It doesn't matter where we're from. You can get good food anywhere you go. It does not matter where you're from. You can go to fucking Tanzania.
You have to remember, too, man,
food.
some people are raised differently.
No,
it's
Stop.
true. It's true. Some people, they're growing up, they eat that, so that's what they're used to, or they like it. So, I mean, look, like I said, I've told you many times, I would never eat Pizza Hut. Ever. I tried it. I don't care for it. So, but, I mean, obviously there's going to be other people out there that like it, but...
Yeah. As far as pizza, though...
it's funny, this podcast in the chat box turns on a dime like crazy. Like, we were just talking about rankings, now we're talking about pizza.
Yeah, because I don't get
Real
how
quick,
you can eat that trash.
Jeff doesn't like certain foods. Is there anyone out there that doesn't like pizza? Is there anyone listening to the show right now that doesn't like pizza? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Because if I may block you if you say that.
Yeah, listen, I'm not in love with pizza. Like, I could do without it, but I just don't get how you can eat that trash, honestly. It just total trash, really. But yeah, I like a lot of. I don't like a lot of food that people do like. Like, I don't get the love affair with ice cream, bacon, things like that. I don't really get it personally. I don't eat steak. There's a lot of stuff I don't eat that many do. So,
but yeah,
we do live in these cities. We do have the luck of having good food around here.
Best Gambler, you don't like pizza? Wow.
I just ate a medium pizza as I was. Good for
nice.
you. Good for you.
Hey, what toppings?
Yeah, anyway. Good stuff. You've lost me, Ryan. You don't eat pizza? We watched Action Bronson in Australia yesterday. Remember?
Man, you're killing me, Buzz, because you're one of my favorite listeners.
They make some great fried chicken, I've heard, over there.
Okay.
Remember Action Bronson was there?
I do remember that. Yep.
You love that show, don't you?
It's a good show.
Fuck, that's delicious.
It's a good show.
What's a better option other than pizza? Well, I mean, like a hot sandwich, like a meatball hoagie or like a...
No, you like burgers.
Yeah, I love... No, he's talking about like Italian stuff.
Oh.
Like a steak sandwich or meatball hoagie or chicken cutlet.
Steak.
Yeah. As far as... I hate pepperoni. I always take pepperoni. Like, when you get me those fucking... By the way, it's interesting I don't eat Domino's because I have to admit Tony's pizzas, the ones in the
frozen pizza,
yeah, they're really good.
Yeah,
I'm getting pizza for dinner. We should get pizza too. Honestly,
get a pie.
Yeah, right. But
a pizza pie. You're welcome, guys. It's delicious.
Yeah,
fuck, that's delicious.
What is Gambino's? What is that?
Gambino's.
That's a funny name for a place. Everyone's getting pizza. How about we all get pizza
with a side of wings? That's what Jeff.
Best Gambler, what a
loves.
Freak! He doesn't like pizza. What a freak!
I don't. He says.
I love Mayhem and Big Body. Ron, you hate Big Body Bez, don't you? Yeah, Alchemist is a dick.
He's a grump.
Yeah, he is. He's just kind of like I think he's changed that. Mayhem Loren is funny. I think
Mayhem's funny. Look, Big Body kind of.
Big Body. I get his humor. I think it's funny.
He's kind of growing on me a little bit. Like, when I first started watching the show, I was like, this guy's a fucking annoyance.
Well, because you have to understand, his humor is really regional. Like, he's... In New York, everyone thinks he's hilarious.
Sure.
But I've kind of grown on him. I think he's kind of funny, like some of his like jailhouse stories and things like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like you would have sex with Action Bronson if you could.
Why?
You love him.
Well,
you think he's
think
hilarious.
about it. I mean, he lives a fantastic life.
All he does is smoke weed and eat.
Smoke weed, eat, and see the world.
Yeah.
Talk about a trifecta.
Sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And his friends get to go with him. I mean,
Right.
that's all. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
They live a fantastic life. I mean, the one episode they were in.
He's kind of a deadbeat dad.
I forget where they were in, like Auckland, New Zealand, or
he's
something.
He's never around his kids though. I mean, he has kids for God's
I hear you.
I'm
sure he sends them money. I'm sure they're not.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're well off.
Yeah.
So,
you think he makes a lot of money, Action Bronson?
I think so.
He probably gets off pretty well.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Yeah. He's Albanian too, by the way. We have to point that out, Ryan. Throw those eagles in the sky.
Christ.
All
right, guys.
All right, man. Yeah, he does cook. He was like a chef, I think, before he started rapping. So.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll bring in the show a little Action Bronson tomorrow, Ryan.
Yeah.
All right, everyone have a great night. We'll be back Wednesday, Hump Day, with another edition of the Big Men on Campus. Everyone, please join us, 5 o'clock Eastern, as always. Appreciate everyone's contributions today. Always fun getting all the participation. Everyone have a great day. I'm going to need a recap. Are you kidding or are you serious? Fucking A. Get in touch with me on Twitter. I don't feel like saying it again. Get in touch with me right now. I'll get it sent to you. Everyone have a great day. Bye-bye.